Let me tell a few more words on the comparable words. Basically, comparable word is a kind of a controversial policy because now I mean the wage and the worth of different jobs need to be calculated at social level at some government institutions rather than determined by the companies. And the wages should be kind of regulated at this. I mean, maybe not that much different from the comparable work calculated by those agencies. But since those agencies are the ones that are determining the value of the wage rate, and it is kind of against the basic rules of the capitalism where markets should determine the wages, it is a policy that is not widely used, but at least discussed in some countries. So this is the end of them. Well, this is the last policy we are going to mention that is used to combat with the discrimination. Now we can, this is the end of the topic, and we can start looking to the questions. The equation below shows different terms, each of which represent different factor that is affecting the wage difference between women and men. Write the factor that represents effect of human capital differences on the wage difference. It is this term, A1M times HM minus HF. That's the effect of human capital differences on the wage difference. Some economists argue the estimation of the effect of discrimination on wage difference between any two groups is overestimated when Oxacotti composition method is used. What might be the reason of the overestimation? It might be because certain job characteristics that are not visible might be the reason of the wage differences. So actually, this difference, which was supposedly measured different returns to human capital, might actually also representing the difference between them. The job conditions, I mean working conditions in those jobs. Actually, working conditions of women might be more favorable, and that might be the reason of the wage difference, basically. So in that case, there might be some overestimation of the discrimination, the effect of discrimination. Assuming Greenland, wage rate of men are 30% lower than the wage rate of women, in what case we can say there is no discrimination against men in Greenland if the productivity of men is also 30% lower than the women, then there is no discrimination against men in Greenland. Assume Jane has discriminatory taste against male workers. How will this affect her labor market preferences? Well, since she will feel insecurity when she is working with men, if she will get a wage, she will accept a wage, W, working in a place where there is no man, only woman. When there is one male included to the group, the wage she will demand will increase to W multiplied by 1 plus D, which is discriminatory taste. So she will demand more wage when in her workplace a man exists. Actually, you might also discuss whether number of men is important for the potential wage premium Jane wants, but at least in very basic models, that wage premium is constant whether you add one man or multiple number of men into the workplace. What is affirmative action? Affirmative action is actually kind of actively looking whether there are obstacles or underutilization of certain groups at the workplace, and creating a plan to end that underutilization or removing those obstacles in the workplace for those groups that are facing barriers or underutilization. Assume in USA and Canada there are two major sectors, production sectors and the service sectors, with 20% male workers, 50% female workers. work in the service sector in USA, while in Canada, 40% of male workers and 60% male workers work in the service sector. Calculate the ID for USA, which is actually, well, 0.3, easy. 0.3 plus 0.3 divided by 2. Moment. Production sector, service sector, 30%. Yes, I mean, just looking to one sector is enough. I mean, in the production sector, there are 80% of male workers and 50% of female workers. 80 minus 50 is also 0.3. 0.20 minus 50 is minus 0.3. But since you take the positive value, then it's also 0.3. So 0.3 plus 0.3 over 2 is 0.3. In Canada, the same number is 0.2, because 60 minus 40 is, 20%. What is the percentage of male workers in USA that needs to switch jobs so that the ID in USA will be equal to the ID of Canada? 10%. I mean, if 10% switch jobs, in that case, 30% of the workers in the service sector will be male, 50% will be of workers who work in the service sector will be female, so the difference will be 20% in that case. What is the percentage of female workers that needs to switch jobs so that there is no occupational segregation? 30%. I mean, 30% should switch to the production sector, so both the workers in service sector will be 20% for both groups. Of course, I assume I am starting from the first point, not the third point. If I start from the third point, where already 10% of the male workers have switched, in that case, only 20% of the female workers needs to switch, so that there is no occupation segregation in the United States. So this is the end of the today's lecture on discrimination. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in the next lecture, which is on the personal economics, where we will look to the internal, what happens inside of the company, and we kind of now will look what happens when the worker is actually working and how his or her performance can be increased inside of the company. Unfortunately, market mechanism, market views are still dominating this section. It has some interesting ideas, but I think mostly questions are interesting, but answers are incomplete in personal economics part of this lecture. So it is still interesting, but kind of, I believe, more research should be done, and a different angle should be provided. Ideally in this part, so kind of it is below the job search part in that sense for me. So see you in that lecture, and also I hope all of you will stay healthy.